We are not asking for a new life. We are consenting to a new agreement within ourselves. Outer conditions arrange themselves in the measure that our inner consent shifts from fear to faith, from reaction to remembrance. Be still and know that I am God. That is the experiment. Not be busy and make God act. Be still and let God be God. The promise I place before you is very practical. If for 30 days we will enter a quiet program of forgiveness and gratitude for spirit, not for outcome, and if we will meet each temptation with the simple remembrance, God is, we shall find a measurable change, even if not one outer circumstance has yet been touched. It is not magic, it is law. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Now, of course, we have admired many truths. We have sat with lovely ideas as if they were works of art to be looked at. But we are not here to admire truth. We are here to live with it until it lives us. You can't use truth, but truth can use you. So I do not offer you a theory. I offer you a little discipline. 30 days is not long, but it is enough to test whether these principles are mere words or living bread. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. The word must proceed in us, again and again, quietly, inwardly. Let us be honest. We will be tempted daily. You won't be out of your front door 5 minutes before something will invite you to believe in a second power, a headline, a memory, a bill, an unkind word. The invitation is always the same. Granted reality, take offense, rehearse fear. Do you see? The point of our practice is not that we never stumble. The point is that we always return. We return to God. We return to the Word. We return to the inner secret place. We return until return itself becomes our dwelling. What are the two practices? They are simple enough for a child and stern enough for a saint. Daily forgiveness and daily gratitude. Forgiveness, not as a moral performance to improve people, but as an inner relinquishment of the authority we gave the offense. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. If we cannot forgive, we say, Father, forgive through me, and we hold still till the stone falls from our hand. Gratitude, not for the particular shape good takes today, but for the presence that is the substance of all good. In thy presence is fullness of joy. When gratitude goes to spirit, it does not rise and fall with circumstance, it abides. Do you notice the hidden unity? Both forgiveness and gratitude remove the sense of separation. Forgiveness dissolves the wall we built between ourselves and another, or ourselves and our own past. Gratitude dissolves the wall we built between ourselves and God by thinking good was in things, persons, conditions. When the walls go, the one appears. There are not two powers. God is. We undertake this quietly. Keep your 30 days within your own heart. Go and tell no man. We are not trying to use God to fix a problem. We are yielding our inner ground so that grace may have a clear passage. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. That is our humility. We do not stand over truth and command it. We kneel within truth and consent to it. And so the invitation is plain. For 30 days, each morning, we set our consent. Through the day, we meet each temptation with, be not afraid. God is. Each evening, we clear any residue of debt and say, "Thank you for thy presence, not for outcomes. Faithfulness, not perfection. Return, not performance." If we will do this quietly, daily, you will find the first changes within 7 days and the larger rearrangements following without strain. We need not get a new life first. Let us receive a new center, and life will reveal its order. Now, on this point of forgiveness, let us be very clear, because much suffering persists only because we have misunderstood the nature of the act. Forgiveness is not a moral trick by which we declare wrong to be right, nor is it a human nobility that winks at injury. Forgiveness is a spiritual law. It functions the moment we cease granting reality, presence, and authority to the offense as a power separate from God. Judge not, that ye be not judged. Why? Because the measure with which we judge is the measure with which we bind ourselves to a second power. In other words, every time we hold to resentment or a sense of personal injury, we are quietly saying, this thing, this person, this event has power apart from God. There are not two powers. God is. Now, of course, someone will say, but it was wrong. It hurt. It cost me. And I do not deny your pain. I do not deny the human story. I only refuse to give it a throne. To forgive is not to falsify history. It is to release the inner claim that a second authority has acted in our life. The moment we release that claim, a gate swings open within, and grace long present, long willing finds a clear passage. When we withhold forgiveness, we do not punish a person out there. We congest the flow of love in here. By not cleansing ourselves of these emotions, we are withholding the love of God that would have healed us first and then reordered all relationships according to divine wisdom. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. The prayer is not a bargain with God. It is a description of law. In proportion as we release, we are released. Often we cannot forgive humanly. Let us admit it. The memory is hot. The words still echo. So do not make a virtue out of strain. Begin honestly. Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. And if you find you cannot even say them, whisper, Father, forgive through me. I consent. Then be still. You can't use truth, but truth can use you. You may be surprised to discover that in the quiet, your grip loosens, not because you tried harder, but because you surrendered the belief in two powers. Neither do I condemn thee. That is not soft on sin. It is faithful to one presence. Remember this. Forgiveness is primarily an inner act. It is a cleansing of consciousness. It is not necessarily a conversation, a reunion, or a drama of apology and embrace. Sometimes the Spirit will lead to a word or a meeting. Sometimes it will not. Do not stage manage grace. Let the Father order outward steps, if and when they serve the unfolding of good. Our part is to remove obstruction within. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. When the heart is clean, wisdom is never far behind. What, then, is the obstruction? It is the bundle we carry called resentment, judgment, blame, and the private rehearsal of injury. Each item in that bundle testifies to a second power. Each item says, this can stand against God. In withdrawing that testimony, we are not excusing behavior. We are excusing our consciousness from the courtroom. We step back into the secret place where only one act. And in that place, love, impersonal, impartial, incorruptible, begins its mending. Perfect love casteth out fear. It is not our personal love that perfects. It is God's love revealing itself where we have ceased to obstruct it. See also how forgiveness frees you from your own past. The one we keep bound by blame is the self we drag from yesterday into today. We think we have a prisoner in our memory, but it is we who wear the chains. The key lies inside the cell. Turn it with a simple prayer. Father, I release this to thee. I release my verdict. I release my story as power God is. Then wait. In that pause, the weight lifts. Not always all at once, but enough to breathe differently, to see differently, to answer differently. And in that new air, you will find that what looked like a mountain was the shadow of your own stance toward a second power. Let us learn this lesson gently but firmly. Forgiveness is the gate that opens when we stop granting reality and authority to the offense. Walk through that gate daily, even if you must crawl at first. Walk through it not to fix anyone, but to cease obstructing the river of grace in yourself. In that river, you will find clarity for boundaries, kindness without permission to harm, and peace that is not dependent on yesterday's fairness. Be not afraid. God is. And where God is acknowledged as the only power, nothing stands against you, because there is nothing left to stand. Now, with forgiveness, we loosen our grip on a second power. With gratitude, we turn our face toward the one. But here we must be corrected tenderly, because most of us have been practicing a form of gratitude that keeps us glued to appearances. We are thankful when the check arrives, when the diagnosis improves, when the door opens. Then when the clouds gather, gratitude sinks with a barometer. That is not quite gratitude. That is emotional weather. In everything give thanks, not for every outcome, but in it because in thy presence is fullness of joy. Gratitude that works is gratitude for spirit itself, for the nearness and activity of God before, during, and after any change of form. A woman wrote to me. Now, of course, she had a wrong sense of gratitude, and she said, I am so grateful for this large order my business received. It proves God answers prayer. I could say thank you, but inwardly I smile because I know it wasn't the order. I wrote back, your gratitude is understandable, but let it be for the presence that is your true employer, your true accountant, your true customer. Orders come and go. God is. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. The addition is never the cause. The kingdom is. Do you see why this matters? Gratitude for things binds us to things. Gratitude for spirit steadies us in spirit. When we say, thank you, Father, that thou art here, we are withdrawing our attention from problem solving and placing it in abiding. We are acknowledging the source, not begging the channels. Then whether the supply appears through this employer or that contract, through a friend's kindness or a stranger's provision, we rest. We are not leaning on reeds. We are leaning on the rock. Before they call, I will answer. And while they are yet speaking, I will hear. To thank God for being God is to enter that answer even when the envelope has not yet arrived. And it is the same in health. We are not to be grateful only when the pain subsides, as if God arrived with the relief. We are to be grateful that life indivisible, whole, present, is the life we live now. Then if the symptom shifts, we do not become more grateful. We become more aware of what was already true. Lo, I am with you always, not sometimes, always. In this recognition, fear diminishes because we are no longer paying homage to a second power called disease. It isn't that God heals disease. It is that disease has no power. Gratitude for spirit reveals that. Try this quietly throughout the day. You won't be out of your front door 5 minutes before a temptation presents itself to measure gratitude by weather, traffic, balance sheets, or behavior. Instead, pause, even for one breath. Thank you, Father, that thou art here. Not thank you that this fixes that, but thank you that thou art. You can't use truth, but truth can use you. That little turning again and again opens the inner ear. Guidance becomes natural. Pressure ebbs. The mind, freed from clutching at outcomes, becomes transparent to wisdom. And because we acknowledge the source, we cease bargaining with the channels. We do not flatter people to secure favor. We do not fear scarcity because one avenue narrows. We do not imagine that a paycheck is our life. Give us this day our daily bread is not a plea to persons. It is an agreement to live in the infinite. Daily bread appears as money, as ideas, as stamina, as right timing, health, harmony, wholeness, completeness, perfection, infinite good, but we are not grateful for the shape. We are grateful for the substance. The form is the shadow. The presence is the light. Let this be our reframe. True gratitude is not a payment to God for services rendered. It is the quiet recognition that God is here now. When that recognition becomes steady, you will find that forms settle into order without strain. We do not chase, we abide. We do not manipulate, we consent. And in that consent, gratitude ceases to be a mood and becomes a dwelling place. Be not afraid. God is. Now let us come to the hidden reason these two simple practices change everything. Each morning, most of us wake as if there were two powers, God in the condition, God in the person, God in the past, God in the bank account, God in the diagnosis. We rise into a divided universe and then wonder why our prayer feels like pulling a wagon uphill. Can there be two powers? The master would not concede it. Thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above. If all power is of God, then what we call threat, lack, injury, has only the power we consent to give it in our belief. Dominion is this. Nothing can act upon us as cause unless we grant it the throne. Now, of course, we are not to deny that events occur, words are spoken, letters arrive. We are not to play games with facts. We are to deny them the scepter. We are to refuse them the prerogative to define reality or rule our peace. I have set the Lord always before me. Because he is at my right hand, I shall not be moved. When God is set before us, all else must take its proper place. Phenomena, not power. Appearance, not authority. Passing weather, not climate. If we sense a thing clutching at our fear or our anger, it is a sign that we have quietly enthroned it. Withdraw the consent, and the shadow finds it has no son of its own. This is why forgiveness is not a performance but a law. The hurt has no jurisdiction unless we carry its badge in our heart. To forgive is to remove the badge. It is to say, Father, I will not serve two masters here. I release the offense as power. Father, forgive them. for they know not what they do. In that willingness, the hooks that held us are pulled from our own flesh. We may speak a clear no, we may draw a wise boundary, but we do it without enmity, because we are not trying to overthrow a rival power. We are abiding in the only power. Neither do I condemn thee. That is not indulgence. That is fidelity to one presence. And gratitude, rightly understood, is the same law in another key. Lack shouts, headlines predict, figures frighten. Gratitude for spirit answers, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Not because the spreadsheet changed, but because sufficiency is the nature of God and God is here. In that inner thanks, we withdraw consent from the idol of mammon. We no longer believe that numbers or channels can be our life. Then forms rearrange. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. The addition is lawful because we refused a second power and returned to source. So carry this as you go. Be not afraid. God is. Let those 5 words be your inward seal upon every meeting, message, and moment. A headline rises, be not afraid, God is. A memory stings, be not afraid, God is. A symptom whispers, be not afraid, God is. One breath, one turning, and you will feel the current change. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. You can't use truth, but truth can use you, and it will, if you give it that pause, that staying. Our aim is not to edit the human story into something pleasant. Our aim is to seek God where God belongs and leave no rival on the dais. When we stop believing in a second power, forgiveness becomes natural because there is nothing left to war against. And gratitude becomes constant because presence does not flicker with circumstances. Then the 30 days do not conjure miracles. They uncover order. We are not wrestling the world into shape. We are abiding in the one who forever is the shape of all peace. Be still and know. Be not afraid. God is. Let us make this practical in the hour when it matters most, before the world begins to speak, before the phone lights, before the news winds up its siren, even before memory begins its argument. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. For 30 days, give the first 4 minutes of the day to abiding. A short daily practice done faithfully accomplishes more than long spiritual conversations done occasionally. It is not the length. It is the first allegiance. It is not the eloquence. It is the turning. For the first half minute, take your seat as you are no drama, no posture to please any eye. Close the outer door and close a little the inner door. Breathe once, quietly, and let the mind lay down its list. Then, not as a slogan, but as a resting place, say within yourself, God is. Rest there. Be still and know that I am God. If thoughts parade, let them pass like strangers at the gate. You need not invite them in for tea. Return to the word. God is. This is not an effort to get God to come. It is a recognition that presence is, always was, and ever shall be. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Stay, even for these few seconds, and feel the ground under your feet become the rock. Now, for a minute and a half, we take up forgiveness not as a courtroom, but as a cleansing. Without searching the attic, just let 3 come to mind. One person, one institution, one judgment against yourself. Do not rehearse the story. The story is the net. Simply set each one before the Father's government for the person. Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. I withdraw my consent that their act be a power in me. God is for the institution. Father, thy kingdom rules. I release this system from my condemnation and myself from its imagined scepter. There are not 2 powers. God is. For your own self-judgment, Father, forgive through me. I have measured myself by a second law. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. If the feeling will not move, do not force it. You can't use truth, but truth can use you. Sit willing. Let the hooks fall from your own flesh. We are not stage managing outcomes. We are removing obstruction. In proportion as we release, we are released. For the next minute, turn to gratitude, not for outcomes, but for spirit. Whisper within, thank you, Father, that thou art here. Thank you for presence, for guidance that precedes my steps, for protection that is not a wall but a light, for the law of love now operating in every detail. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, not because today's channels are known, but because the source is God. Before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. Let your heart be grateful that life lives you, that wisdom goes before you, that bread is daily, because the infinite does not ration itself. Give us this day our daily bread, ideas, strength, right timing, health, harmony, wholeness, completeness, perfection, infinite good, not as things to be chased, but as shadows of the light you acknowledge now. For the last half minute, offer a simple dedication. No flourishes, no pledges to impress the self. Father, use me today. Let me be a transparency for thy love, thy intelligence, thy peace. Here am I. Send me. I do not ask for scenes to play or honors to carry. I ask to be so emptied of a second power that only thou art seen. Then close with silence rather than many words. Let the word abide in you, and for a breath or 2, abide in the word. Rise gently. Go and tell no man. Carry nothing but the inward seal. Be not afraid. God is. If you will keep this 4-minute altar in the morning for 30 days, before phone, before news, before memory, truth will begin to use you. You will find that this little abiding makes the day answer differently, not because you have forced it, but because you have first set the Lord always before you, and so you shall not be moved. Now comes the proving ground. You will not be 5 minutes from your morning chair before the day presents its old invitations. A tone in a voice, a number on a screen, a delay on the road, the sudden sting of comparison. Do not be surprised. Do not say, but I prayed, why this? The prayer was not a fence to keep events out. It was a door to keep God in. Our work now is not to argue with the appearance, but to refuse it, the dignity of a second power. Resist not evil, the Master said, not because we agree with error, but because we will not wrestle shadows. We withdraw attention. We return to the word. Be not afraid. God is. How do we return? In the middle of a hallway, in a meeting, at a sink full of dishes. Quietly, without any show, We take 3 breaths. On the inhale, say within, God is. On the exhale, there is no other power. Then rest here, now. Again, inhale, God is. Exhale, there is no other power. Rest here, now. Once more, inhale, God is. Exhale, there is no other power. Rest here, now. No one sees it. Nothing outward needs to pause, yet inwardly the axis is turned. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. In 3 breaths, the mind is stayed. If irritation flares, let forgiveness come first, but let it be forgiveness as law, not lecture. Whisper, Father, forgive, dissolve this in me. Not forgive them because they are wrong, but dissolve this hook in me that grants the scene a scepter. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. In that instant, you release the inward claim that another power has acted upon you. You do not excuse harm. You remove its badge from your own heart. You may still say no. You may set a boundary, but now you do it from the secret place, not from a courtroom of personal judgment. Neither do I condemn thee. Be faithful to one presence. Then pair it at once with gratitude, not for an outcome, but for presence. Thank you for thy presence right here. Say it once, simply. Thank you that thou art the life, the law, the wisdom in this very place. When gratitude for spirit enters, the mind cannot brood in grievance. 2 tenants cannot occupy the same small room. In everything give thanks, not for what has occurred, but because God is where you stand. In that thanks, the storm within subsides enough for guidance to be heard. Let it be this practical. The email comes and your chest tightens 3 breaths. God is. There is no other power. Here, now. Father, forgive, dissolve this in me. Thank you for thy presence right here. A horn blares. A lane closes 3 breaths. A friend's success pricks your pride 3 breaths. The thought rises. What about my turn? Father, forgive. I release this measuring. Thank you that thou art my portion and my cup. A body whispers discomfort, do not crown it. 3 breaths. Be still. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Not for relief as outcome, but for life as fact. Do you see the method? It is not one strong moment in the morning that performs the miracle. It is many small returns. 70 times 7, you will be asked to grant a scepter to some appearance. 70 times 7, you may quietly decline. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. The acknowledgement is this little liturgy of breath, forgiveness, gratitude, happening again and again without announcement. You can't use truth, but truth can use you. It needs only these ready doorways. Keep it private. Go and tell no man. Let your co-workers see only your calm. Your family feel only your kindness. The traffic receive only your courtesy. Within, keep the altar lit with those 3 breaths. And each time you return, the habit of believing in 2 powers weakens. The habit of abiding strengthens. Be not afraid. God is. That is the midday reset. Every day, many times a day, until return itself becomes your dwelling. Now the evening comes, and with it, a holy appointment. The day has been full of your small returns. Now we complete the circle. Why does the evening matter? Because what we carry into sleep becomes tomorrow's atmosphere. If we lie down in judgment, we will rise to prosecute the same case. If we take fear to bed, we will wake to its gavel. I will both lay me down in peace and sleep. For thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety. We refuse to end the day in resentment or fear. This is how we keep the practice alive. Make it simple. Close the outer door and a little the inner door. Turn out the noise, the screens, the scrolls, the reports that promise truth if only you read one more line. Sit quietly, even on the edge of the bed. Breathe once, and as in the morning, set the Lord always before you. God is. Be still and know. Not to summon a visitation, but to remember presence that has not taken one step from your side this day. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Abide, even for a minute. Now comes a gentle review, not an audit, not a scolding. Ask inwardly, where today did I believe in two powers? Did I fear money and so grant numbers a scepter? Did I fear health and so name symptom as law? Did I fear opinion and so bow to the faces of men? Did I fear time and so make a taskmaster of the clock? Do not rehearse the stories. Simply notice the altars you built in the marketplace. In each place you bowed. You may now quietly rise. Withdraw the consent. There are not two powers. God is. Let forgiveness follow at once. Choose one resentment you touch today. Perhaps it still burns. Perhaps it hides, but pulls on a thread. Do not justify it. Do not bargain with it. Lay it open before the Father's government. Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. I withdraw my verdict. I release this as power in me. If the heart is stiff, be honest and simple. Father, forgive through me, I consent. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. If there is a sharpness toward yourself, place that too on the altar. Neither do I condemn thee. We are not excusing harm. We are excusing our consciousness from the courtroom. You will find that by removing the badge from your own heart, the hook begins to loosen, and the day unhands you. Then turn to gratitude, not for outcomes, but for Spirit's governance, protection, and quiet mercies, many of them unseen. Thank you, Father, that thou hast been the life and law of this day. Thank you for the guidance that arrived before decisions, for the checks that held our words when we would have spoken rashly, for the delays that redirected our steps, for the strength that appeared as a second wind, for daily bread as idea, as courage, as right timing. He shall give his angels charge over thee. We are not grateful for the forms as if they were our life. We are grateful for the presence that animated every good and outlived every disturbance. Before they call, I will answer. And while they are yet speaking, I will hear. Let that assurance be your pillow. If there remains a tangle, a worry, reaching into tomorrow place, even that under the one, we are not to plan the morrow from the anxieties of this hour. Our work is to rest the mind in God's completeness. It is finished. Not the human program, but the divine sufficiency. The shepherd does not sleep. We may. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Say it once, not to get, but to recognize. Be not afraid. God is. Close with silence. No petitions, no lists, no pushing at heaven's door. Let the word abide in you, and for a few breaths, abide in the word. If a thought rises, let it pass. If an image returns, let it float. You can't use truth, but truth can use you most easily when you are not striving. Rest in the sense of God's completed work, and let sleep become prayer. Go and tell no man. In the morning, you will find that peace traveled ahead, because grace never was absent. You simply ended the day without carrying any debts forward. Now, of course, there will be days when all of this seems far away. You will sit in the chair and find that the heart is stone. You will stand at the sink and feel a wave of anger rise as if it carried the seal of a king. You will try to say, "Thank you," and the words taste like chalk. Do not be surprised. The old mind argues for its right to resent. The habit of two powers does not surrender its throne without a mutter. This is not failure. It is exposure. It is the light showing you where you have still believed the second power. That is mercy. That is instruction. For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. When you cannot forgive, do not pretend. Do not embroider your pain with spiritual words. Simply turn and say, "Father, forgive through me. I consent. I cannot, but thou canst." That is a perfect prayer. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. If the name or the face still burns, place it under the one. I withdraw the badge I have pinned upon this act. I refuse it the scepter in me. Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. If the feeling does not move, do not force it. You can't use truth, but truth can use you. Your honesty is the open door. Grace is the doorkeeper. And when gratitude feels false, when the room is gray and the soul is numb, remember that gratitude is not a mood we perform for God. Gratitude is recognition. Thank you, Father, that thou art not thank you that this changed that, but thank you that presence is here without my permission. In everything give thanks, not because we have achieved a feeling, but because God is the fact. If all you can manage is one whispered sentence with no warmth in it, let it be simple. Thank you that thou art. The sun does not cease to shine because my window is fogged. I wipe a small circle. That is all. In time, the warmth returns of its own nature. Learn the 1-degree turn. When the mind condemns you, you should be farther along by now. You have failed the practice. Do not argue with it. Do not sit for an hour in contrition. Turn 1 degree. I cannot, but thou canst. Be it unto me according to thy word. Lord, I believe. Help thou mine unbelief. That is not weakness. That is humility, opening the gate. The prodigal did not rehearse a perfect speech. He rose and went to his father. Rise and return. 70 times 7. Rise and return. Re-anchor the experiment this way. The only rule is return. If you forget the morning, begin at midday. If you break all 3 appointments, begin at night. If you lose 2 days, begin now. Do not reset the calendar with drama. Do not count failures as if they were coins to be paid back. We are not climbing a ladder. We are dwelling in a house. Each return is homecoming. Draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you. In truth, God was already nigh. You discovered it again. And do not carry these stumbles into the courtroom. Neither do I condemn thee. That was the Master's word, and it is the law of our practice. We are not excusing harm. We are excusing our consciousness from the gavel. The moment you feel the weight of self-judgment, lay it on the altar with the rest. Father, forgive through me even for this. Then breathe your 3 breaths. Inhale, God is. Exhale, there is no other power. Rest here, now. Once more. Once more. The hook loosens. The mind becomes still enough to be led. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Keep it quiet. Go and tell no man when you cannot practice perfectly. Practice honestly. Return to God without self-condemnation. Forgiveness will ripen in its own hour. Gratitude will steady into recognition. Be not afraid. God is. Let us speak plainly of what usually happens when we keep this quiet covenant for 30 days. We are not making a new world. We are discovering a new center that meets the old world differently. In other words, we do not command the weather. We find the climate of God. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Abide for 30 days and you will find that shadow substance, safety, sufficiency taking form as poise. In the first 7 days, expect light, not fireworks, light. You will notice how often you judge, how swiftly the mind takes a throne it was never given, measuring faces, weighing balances, rehearsing old verdicts. Do not be alarmed. This is not backsliding. This is revelation. Search me, O God, and know my heart, and lead me in the way everlasting. The practice becomes a mirror, and you see the default settings of fear, comparison, condemnation. That is mercy. We are not to fix the mind by the mind. We are to see and release. 3 breaths here. A whispered, Father, forgive through me. A simple, thank you that thou art. And the old machinery begins to lose its sanctity. You will not feel very holy this week. You will feel very seen. Be not afraid. God is. From the 8th to the 14th day, texture changes. The same provocations may appear, but the emotional charge softens. You catch the resentment sooner. The recovery is swifter. You start to prove the power of returning. Draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you. The morning altar steadies the hand. The midday reset arrests the spiral. The evening clearing refuses to carry the gavel to bed. Where anger would have raged for hours, it now glows and goes out. Where anxiety would have painted a week in gray, it exhausts itself against your 3 breaths. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. You are learning to stay, not perfectly, but repeatedly. 70 times 7, return, and each time the hook releases a little more. Between the 15th and the 21st day, gratitude shifts key. You find yourself saying thank you without peeking at the weather. You discover quiet evidences of grace, a delay that becomes protection, a closed door that keeps you from a poor bargain, the right idea arriving 5 minutes before it is asked for, strength exactly when it is needed, a word withheld that spares a friendship. Before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. You begin to notice answers that preceded your petition because you are no longer praying to change forms. You are consenting to presence. He shall give his angels charge over thee. Angels do not always look like wings. Sometimes they look like timing. Gratitude becomes less a mood and more a habitation. The channels still change. The source does not, and you feel it. Then, from the 22nd day to the 30th, a new center of gravity reveals itself. Less fear, less reactivity, more inner guidance. The world's voices do not grow quieter, but they lose authority. You find yourself moving from an inward yes or no that is not argumentative, not dramatic. I have set the Lord always before me. Because he is at my right hand, I shall not be moved. You are not made of porcelain. You are seated on a rock. Decisions ask less strain because you are not bargaining with a second power. Boundaries become natural because neither do I condemn thee governs both your no and your yes. It is not perfection. Old habits still knock, but you do not rush to the door. The presence feels companionable, near, operational. You can't use truth, but truth can use you, and it does, because it finds you home. Now let us be faithful to the promise and its shape. The outer may or may not change on your calendar. Some letters will still arrive, some bodies will still whisper, some accounts will still ask arithmetic, but your relationship to them changes, and that is the beginning of dominion. Thou couldst have no power at all against me except it were given thee from above. When you withdraw belief in a second power, forgiveness becomes air you breathe. Gratitude becomes weatherproof. Guidance takes the driver's seat. Peace becomes the atmosphere through which events pass. The 30 days do not build a new earth. They reveal the heaven within that meets the earth anew. Keep it quiet. Keep it daily. Keep returning. Be not afraid. God is. Now let us bring this home to the rooms in which life actually moves: money, health, relationships, and purpose. But let us do it without picking up the old bargain with results. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Added, not chased. When we practice forgiveness and gratitude to spirit, when we meet each temptation with God is, the human details begin to fall into their right place without strain. Not by magic, not by pushing, but by removing the inner obstructions that kept grace damned behind our fear. Take money. In our time, this word carries a quick pulse, panic, pride, comparison. But money is not a power. There are not two powers. When we are grateful for source rather than channels, the clutching loosens. A young shopkeeper once told me, I pray, and then I stare at the till. Well, of course, that is gratitude for outcome, not for God. The practice shifts this. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. We forgive the employer who did not see us, the client who delayed the system we have blamed. We forgive ourselves for making a God of numbers. Father, forgive through me. I withdraw their scepter in me. In that lightness, ideas begin to move. Calls are returned that had stalled. An overlooked skill becomes an avenue. Right action, budgeting, a hard conversation. A new application arises without dread because fear has been uncrowned. Supply is recognized as the activity of God, and money becomes one of its many lawful forms. You can't use truth, but truth can use you often, first by quieting your mouth long enough to hear wisdom. Health. It is not that God heals disease, as if two powers were wrestling and God finally wins. It is only that disease has no power in the presence, and our abiding withdraws the consent that fear had granted. He sent his word and healed them. The word here is not a speech. It is the realized presence. As we refuse to crown a symptom, something in the body follows consciousness more than we had believed. A nurse wrote that her palpitations lessened when she stopped bargaining for relief and began resting in God is, adding only, thank you that thou art the life of this heart. Guidance arrived, simpler meals, a change shift, a kindness toward her own limits, and the temple was tended from within. Whether the form changes swiftly or slowly, the tyranny of it does not govern, and that is dominion. Relationships. Forgiveness removes the demand that others be different before we can be at peace. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. We lay down the gavel. We pick up the presents. Then gratitude begins to recognize God, where we had only seen personality, A difficult colleague becomes occasion, not adversary. A family history loses its courtroom. Boundaries arise that are firm but free of poison. Neither do I condemn thee becomes the law of both our no and our yes. We do not excuse harm. We refuse it. A second power in our own heart, in that atmosphere. Words come cleaner. Listening lengthens, and some knots untie themselves because we are not pulling on both ends. Purpose. When reactivity quiets, guidance sounds like a bell we can finally hear. Right contacts, right timing, right decisions. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Not by blueprint, but by step. A man missing a train met the partner he needed on the platform he had not planned to stand on. Another, who had fretted over a calling, stopped rehearsing a grand mission and began the little obediences study at dawn. A weekly visit, an email written in love, and found that direction was not a map but a light at each footfall. Purpose ceases to be a project. It becomes participation. Here am I. Send me. Do not mistake this. We are not entering a technique to get things. We are consenting to the presence that orders all things. As we forgive, we stop obstructing the flow. As we give thanks for spirit, not outcome, we stop bargaining with shadows. As we meet each temptation with be not afraid, God is. The details arrange themselves in the way wisdom chooses. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but always lawfully, because grace was never absent. Keep it quiet. Keep it daily. Keep returning. Seek first, and let the adding be God's province. So now let us make it very simple, very quiet, very doable. We do not need a new life. We need 30 days of a new inner practice. Choose a date. Do not trumpet it. Do not announce it. Simply choose a start, even if it is tomorrow at dawn, even if it is this very evening. Set 2 gentle alarms, one for the morning and one for the evening, and let them say only, God is. Keep the practice under 4 minutes each time. Why under 4? Because fidelity, not duration, opens the gate. When thou prayest, enter into thy closet, the Master said, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. We are not performing religion. We are consenting to presence. In the morning, when the bell sounds, sit and do what we have learned. No rush, no spill. 4 minutes of remembering. 1, power. Forgiveness is law. Gratitude for spirit. And the word resting in you until you can say without strain, be not afraid. God is. In the evening, when the bell sounds, let the debts of the day be cleared and the thanks be offered, and then close the book. If a great light appears, good. If nothing stirs, good. You can't use truth, but truth can use you. It meets you most readily in these brief, faithful openings. Now, to keep the day simple, take with you a small inward checklist, 4 stones in the pocket of your heart. First, 1 person forgiven each day. Do not make a ceremony of it. Do not wait for a dramatic injury. Pick up even the smallest pebble, an old slight, a fresh annoyance, and withdraw the badge you had placed upon it. Father, forgive through me. I consent. Second, 1 self-judgment released. The tongue can be cruel inwardly. Let 1 sharp sentence be put under the 1. Neither do I condemn thee. Third, 1 recognition of presence thanked for, not for its shape, but for its being. Thank you that thou art here, whether at a sink, in a hallway, or under a sky you have passed 1,000 times. Fourth, at least 1 deliberate return to God is During the day, 3 breaths in the market, at the desk, at a red light, inhale, God is, exhale, there is no other power, rest here. Now, if you do more than one, fine, but do at least one. In all thy ways acknowledge him. Keep it private. Go and tell no man. Let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth. Do not discuss your experiment. Do not post it. Do not defend it. Secrecy here is not superstition. It is hygiene. It keeps the sap for fruit instead of for leaves. Let the changes, when they come, be noticed not by your speech about God, but by your quietness in a storm, your kindness where there would have been a quarrel, your poise where there would have been haste. The Father who sees in secret will handle the rest. Each night before sleep, write 1 sentence. Not an essay, not a case file. 1 line. Where did I return? Where did I forget? What did I learn? If you wish, add the date and nothing more. This is not to measure holiness. It is to mark faithfulness. You will find at the end of 30 days that these small witnessings have traced a map of grace you did not know was being drawn. We will walk this quietly together, not as followers of a personality, but as students of a principle. I have nothing to give you but what the Master gave us all. 1 presence, 1 power, 1 life. Abide in me, and I in you. Let our companionship be in that abiding. You will not be out of the room 5 minutes before some appearance bids for your consent. Do not argue with it. Return. If you miss the morning, keep the evening. If you miss them both, begin now. The only rule is return, so choose your date. Set your 2 bells. Keep the 4-minute covenant, morning and evening. Carry your 4 stones through the day. Write 1 sentence at night. Keep it quiet. Keep it daily. Keep returning. I have set the Lord always before me. Because he is at my right hand, I shall not be moved. Be not afraid. God is. So we come to the sending, not as those who have finished a course, but as those who have begun to abide. Let us gather the 3 anchors and set them quietly in the heart. First, forgiveness clears the way, not a moral polishing, but the law by which we withdraw the badge from offense and open the gate to grace. Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. Second, gratitude recognizes the source, not thank you for this form or that relief, but thank you that thou art gratitude for presence, the life beneath all shapes. Third, the simple remembrance that dissolves fear of a second power. Be not afraid. God is. They are not 2 powers. Thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above. These 3 together make a path the feet can actually walk. Now, please hear this with tenderness. Our aim is not to build a spiritual identity, a new costume of holiness. Our aim is to abide in me, and I in you, to let the word abide in us until it becomes as natural as breathing. You can't use truth, but truth can use you, and it will, as you keep the daily appointments and refuse the courtroom at night. We are not manufacturing grace. We are ceasing to obstruct it. We are not summoning God. We are consenting to God. Before we part, let us practice once together. Simply sit a little straighter, not rigid, but available. Close the outer door a fraction. For 10 seconds, without strain, whisper in the heart, God is. God is. God. Now, allow 1 release of forgiveness. Father, forgive through me. I consent, name no story, give no argument, just lay it down. Offer one sentence of gratitude for spirit. Thank you that thou art here. And now, silence. Let the word abide in you. Be still and know we will keep this quiet. Go and tell no man. Yet, if you desire a small outward stake to hold you to fidelity, let it be only this. Make a single, spare mark of your vow. Cast day one, no testimony, no explanation, no counsel to others, then return tomorrow with day 2, and so on through day 30. Let it be public enough to steady your promise and private enough to guard the sap. No reports, no debates, only the date of your return. In this, too, be disciplined and discreet. Let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth. As you go, expect temptations to announce themselves as powers, voices, numbers, symptoms, calendars. Do not argue with them. Return. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Dwell. If you forget, begin again. If you stumble, rise and return. Neither do I condemn thee. The shepherd has not moved. We rediscover his nearness each time we say, be not afraid. God is. The fruit will come because grace was never absent. Our work is to stop resisting what already is. Forgiveness removes the dams. Gratitude clears the lenses. God is unmasks the pretense of a second power. Seek first the kingdom, and let the adding be God's province. Before they call, I will answer. And while they are yet speaking, I will hear. So it is not by striving, not by noise, but by abiding that the leaves heal and the branches bear. Thank you for your quiet courage. Bless you for your faithfulness in secret. Keep it quiet. Keep it daily. Keep returning. Be not afraid. God is